first of all, we're not at the end of the investigation yet. That's going to take a little bit longer, but we're making good progress. And I think the test results last night were very helpful. I think some of the media today have kind of missed the point on this because the headlines are that 9 out of 13 burgers have proven positive. That's no surprise to me, because we know that 1 of 7 ingredients that was tested positive. The key issue here is, of the 20 samples that were tested, the interesting information is the 7 raw materials that were tested. 5 of them came from Irish companies, and all proved negative in terms of testing. 2 of them came from the same company outside of Ireland. 1 was negative, 1 was positive. We are obviously now following up to establish whether the same company from outside of Ireland was providing material to the other 2 plants, one in Yorkshire in the UK and the other being Liffey Meats, that also had proven or had positive tests for DNA last Friday.
Can you tell me what country, Minister?
No, I can't at the moment, because I am very conscious of the fact that even though we think we're onto something here, it's very important that I don't say anything until I have full proof.
Okay, fair enough. Because
it would be very convenient for me to actually isolate this problem, to show it as an imported problem, and to give the Irish food industry an entire clean bill of health. But I can't do that yet, and until I can, I need to be careful that I don't name names in terms of companies or countries.
Okay.
But we are making good progress, and the companies involved are also making progress in relation to their own investigations. I think that what Silvercrest did last night was a responsible thing to do. They have stopped all manufacturing at that facility until we get to the bottom of this problem, and we will get to the bottom of this problem, but it's going to take a little bit of time.
Okay, fair enough, Minister. And Spain a couple of years ago was falsely accused of the E. coli outbreak in cucumbers. Absolutely. And that had a huge ramification for the country, so I respect that point. Do you believe, Minister, that it was accidental cross-contamination, or do you believe that there was a deception involved in products that were sold?
Well, I think that, we don't know for sure now, but certainly from the information I'm getting from my officials and my vets that are actually in these factories, talking to management, looking at all of the data and information in terms of ingredients going into burgers, where they came from, who supplied them, and so on. There is no evidence to suggest yet, anyway, that Silvercrest or Liffey Meats, for that matter, knowingly imported any product that had horse meat in it.
Okay.
So there is obviously then a labelling issue if some horse meat or some horse DNA in some other filler product came into the system, and that's the trail that we're following. We're trying to find out how this happened, who supplied it, who was responsible for it, to make sure that it doesn't happen again. But it is important, that I sort of emphasize 2 issues. First of all, there's absolutely no consumer safety issue here.
Yes.
This is about a traceability and a labelling issue in terms of accuracy, so that consumers know what they're eating, right? And so what we need to ensure here is that we put systems in place to make sure that we are accurate. It's only recently that the Food Safety Authority has started testing food using DNA testing. In fact, other countries don't do it.
Okay.
And so because we have these new tests, and because Ireland is as rigorous as we have raised a flag here. We need to follow it up, investigate it, and make sure it doesn't happen again. And that's what's happening at the moment.
Minister, can I ask you, are you confident that the list of products that was out on Wednesday, that every product has been identified? Because there had been some concern about, say, restaurant chains or the burgers, the meat being used for another purpose. So are you confident that what you have tested, it sounded like what you told me at the start was it was targeted testing, and that's why there was such a high result in 9 out of 13. So are you confident that you have the comprehensive list of the products and places affected?
Well, look, this is an investigation into frozen burgers, which is a cheap product, but whether it's cheap or expensive shouldn't matter. We should still have the same food safety standards and traceability standards. But this is a follow-up investigation, given the information that we got from the Food Safety Authority and the burgers that they tested before Christmas, right? And so we are concentrating on getting to the bottom of the issue within frozen burgers, which is a category that involves meat in those burgers, but also other filler materials and so on. and this is the cheap end of the market, and as a result of that, processors are put under pressure to get material as cheaply as possible, which may be part of the problem.
Okay.
But regardless of that, we are focusing at the moment on getting to the bottom of why some frozen burgers had horse DNA in them. Totally unacceptable to me. It's unacceptable to Irish consumers, and people expect me, rightly so, to get to the bottom of this, but to be thorough about it and not to rush to conclusion.
Minister,
and that's what we're doing.
Just fine, and I know what you've said about Irish testing regime, and we've had others, professors from UCD, say other countries wouldn't have caught this the way Ireland did. But can I ask you, there's other processed food being made around Ireland, and the chain of extremely professional vets watching and making sure animals are slaughtered ethically and then that good meat goes into a product, but it seems not then testing additives. Does the testing regime need to change now, say for the thing at the end of the line, whatever it may be, chicken or burgers? Do you need to look at that when you get beyond this crisis stage?
Yeah, well, we're constantly assessing how we can improve our testing mechanisms. Just to put this into perspective, we take 30,000 samples a year for testing from slaughterhouses, from processing plants, from boning plants, and so on. We have vets on the ground in all of the slaughtering facilities that are actually sending livestock meat abroad. We have audits in all of the food processing plants, including Silvercrest, on a monthly basis in relation to Silvercrest. And we had an audit as late as December last month. So there is a very comprehensive
But that
regime
didn't
at
catch
the
it,
moment.
Minister. The Food Safety Authority did.
No, but it would never have caught it because we don't actually do DNA testing. We've never done DNA testing.
But do we need to? That's what I was kind of getting at.
Perhaps we do, right? Perhaps we do. And it is because the Food Safety Authority has done, random DNA testing of a cheap product because of either a suspicion or because they needed to verify the contents of those burgers. That we have actually had this red flag raised. That's a good thing, right? But unfortunately, because of what's happened, there is the potential to damage the reputation of the Irish food industry, and that's why we have to be so thorough in relation to this investigation. But of course, at the end of this process, we will sit down and we will decide whether it's appropriate to actually have more DNA testing on factory floors as well as in retail outlets, to make sure that consumers are protected in terms of knowing what's in their food. And I can assure you I won't be found wanting in relation to doing what's necessary in that score.
Minister, I'm out of time, but when are you expecting the tests from Liffey Foods or anywhere else back?
Oh, well, look, we're going to have test results coming in now practically every day the limitations of the lab in Ireland is that they can only deal with 24 samples a day, right? Per batch, which actually takes 48 hours to go through the system. So we will have some more samples results probably later on this evening, and and the next day and the next day and the next day. We're also sending samples to Germany because the lab in Ireland is only providing information now as to whether horse DNA is present or not. They're not giving the actual the volume content. Now we suspect the test results yesterday were only trace elements of horse DNA, but we will know that for sure probably on Tuesday.